Hello, today I would like to go over some activities that you can use with your alternately assessed students when you're addressing the Math Essential Element 3, NF 1 through 3, which is differentiating a fractional part from a whole. So the way that I sometimes like to capture my students' interest is to show them some sort of a video that has a song. A lot of my students are auditory learners, so sometimes a catchy jingle will help them understand different theories or different skills that I want them to understand. So I looked on YouTube and I found this fraction song for kids, and it's a little boy who smells some pie, and then you go through the different fractions of breaking up a pie into different slices. So I'll play a small little snippet for you.
There were 5 pieces in one whole pie.
So you get the idea. So just show you, there's a ton of different fraction videos. If your students are into any sort of music, I definitely suggest checking out YouTube. There's a ton of options, and you can find something that's appropriate and fun for your kids to sing along to. So the next thing I'm going to go over is I created a Jamboard. Once again, I really like Jamboards because there's a lot of interaction. You can have your students participate with you while you're going through whatever lessons, and if there's any sort of visuals, instead of them having them come up to the board like we traditionally do, you can have them participate by drawing, writing, or indicating something on a Jamboard. So here, I kind of, once again, captured their interest. We just watched our video about pie, so I found a picture of a cake and said, wow, did you know that we deal with fractions every day? Well, how? How do we do that? When we're splitting up a cake, when we're cutting a pizza pie into 8 different slices, and, kind of capture their interest with something that they might be motivated by, which could be food, it could be something else. But I'll go through and I'll show you the different fractions that I had screenshot from a PDF that I had found, which was compiled as a fraction book. But instead of having the book, of course, when we're digital, I had the Jamboard for each page, right? So I included slides for each page of the book, so it's almost like a digital book. So let's go through and I'll show you an example. So on the first one, we have 1/2. And so I can go through and I can explain to my students, okay, well, what is half of this whole entire circle? And so this I would want to model for them the first time we go through. So I'm going to take my highlighter and I'm going to maybe color it in black, and then I'm going to go through and I am going to color in 1/2, right? So I'll go through, I'll make sure I get the majority of it all colored in for my students. And like I said, the first time that you're going to potentially go through this, you're going to want to model for your students if this is something that's brand new for them. And you'll go through and you'll have them color in a half of a circle, right? So now you can have, after you do this, you can erase what you do, and I'll show you. I just want to get all the pieces in so you can see that I am drawing right in here. Not super neat, but just so that you kind of get the idea. But yes, so we can go through, we can color it in, right? Go through, get all this in here, and you can pick any color you want, right? And then you can go on through. So you can have 1/2 of your circle all colored in. Keep going, and you can do it as much as you want, right? Till you make sure that your students kind of get the idea, right? Cut it off at the 1/2, right? Get out my eraser and erase the little part that I went over, right? So there you go. So now I colored in 1/2 of my circle. So half of my circle is colored black and the other half is left white, right? So you can go through, you can explain that. Then very simply, you can go through and erase it, erase everything that's there, and then have your students practice one by one, right? You can have your students take turns. You could model it and have them go back and do it as soon as you model it. Or if your students are able to continue to go through, I'll show you the other pages that I created to increase different fractions that we can learn about. So we have 1/2 here, then we have a third, then we have a quarter, which is very similar to the circle that we used for our half, right? So you can go into explaining that 2/4 is actually 1/2. So you can go further into that. But again, you could have your students color in each of these pieces to show you whether or not they're understanding the parts of a fraction that equal a whole. So here we have 1/6, and this one's a little bit pulled out, right? So you can have them identify that it's that one, or they could choose any one of them. They don't have to choose that one when they can color that in using their marker, their highlighter. And then we have 1/8. And then 1/8 is very similar to a pizza pie, right? So we could talk about how pies are split into eighths. We can talk about when we're cutting cakes, right? So all those daily fractions that they utilize all the time. And this could just be your introduction, right? You can go through, you can have your students practice with you. Like I said, you can model it first and then have them show you that they know it. So then you'll have your formative assessment built in. Now, I'm going to show you what else I found, which is called Math Playground, and they have a ton of really cool math games. And in this particular one, we have our Pizza Pandas. So that's what we're going to work on today. It's a really fun, cute game. I'm going to show you how I go into it. It's a free website you can go into. There's a ton of different math games. So we're going to try Pizza Pandas because it relates to our fractions, and we've been talking about food and fractions, so let's stick with our theme. So check out here how we have our pizza fractions, Pizza Pandas, and you go in here and then you hit play, right? So I usually just leave the player name. It's no big deal. I don't need the kids putting in their actual names. I tell them just to hit next, right? What's nice here is you can have a private game, right? That's what I suggest. You have a private game and then you create it so that there is a password. So you can make it your classroom, you can make it your name, right? So Miss Dawn, and create. So now that password is only going to be for your students so that you can make sure that they're not engaging with anyone else online, right? So then here's our player number, and then they can play against the computer. They can play against other students in their classroom as long as they go onto that website and use, your classroom password, your name as the password, their name as the password, whatever works, right? You can share this to your Google Classroom, which is super easy to do. And then you would hit start, and I'm going to show you a little bit of this video game, and then it's another way for your students to practice. You have formative assessment in a really super fun way in the form of a video game. Gives you a little countdown, and then it goes. So you'll see you have a timer up here, and then you have to figure out what is the answer, right? So how many pieces do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is 5/8, right? And then we have 1, 2, which is 2/8, right? Or what else is 2/8, right? So we can have 1/4, right? So you can go through, and it's fun. They may not get each of them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boop, right? So they go against the computer, and you keep going through. So this is a really fun, just a new different activity that you can use with your students. I like that you can have it in the private mode. I like that you can have, a password for it so you can make sure that they're not playing with anyone else on the internet. And it's really great because it is a free resource. You can share it to your Google Teams and go through and have some fun in the form of a video game. So I hope this could be used in your classroom. I hope you like it. I hope I gave you some ideas on how to make fractions fun. And then you see, go through. And it ranks everybody, right? I missed a ton of them. So as we were chatting. So I hope that, you have this. This is great to print out then for data, right? If you want to go and print that out to prove like, okay, here's how many got in this time. How accurate were they? So some really great resources to use when using Math Playground. It's free. I don't use anything that's premium in here. So you can just do that and enjoy it with your kids, play the game, and check out some of the other games that they have for fractions. But I hope you can use this, and I hope you have fun with your students playing with it.